All right. Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Tabnine Office Hours. My name is Amanda Deshmuk, and I'm head of marketing programs. I'll let Chris introduce himself.
Yeah, hello and good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from. I'm Chris Good. I'm a product marketing manager over here at Tabnine as well. Excited to be here today.
Fantastic. So we are going to have about 20 minutes of slides, and then we're going to jump right into the demo session here. And reminder that this is fully interactive, so feel free to ask questions along the way. So Tabnine is the AI software development platform that's tailored to you. And, really the reason that most of you are looking at AI is that everyone knows AI is here. And Gartner's saying that by 2028, 75% of enterprise software engineers are going to use AI code assistants. And that's up from less than 10% in early 2023. So I'm sure you're seeing lots of excitement, adoption of various tooling at your company as well. And Tabnine's definitely the one you should consider using. So why are people really using AI and what's happening with software development? So, AI coding assistants are really fundamentally transforming software development, and they're helping all across the entire SDLC, all the way from searching for things in your code base to delegating common tasks like onboarding, code review, and autonomous generation of testings and docs. And what we're really seeing at Tabnine is our AI coding assistant is able to help both the junior developer and the more senior developer significantly increase their productivity. And what we're seeing is about a 30 to 50% lift in productivity gains for our developers through using AI. So let's talk a bit about what AI can really do here. And what I wanted to start with is just showing you guys 3 of our AI agents, if these GIFs play. Fantastic. They did not, but that's okay. That's what the demo is for. So here, let me see if I can actually just share screen instead. That's all right. We'll wait for the demo on that. That is our onboarding agent that helps you onboard onto a unfamiliar code base. The next one you'll see is our Jira implementation and validation agents. We're the only AI coding assistant today that can integrate into Jira, by the way. So what Tabnine does is it reads the Jira ticket and it reads your local context and your global context from your code base. And if you tell it to implement the ticket, it executes the first pass at executing the Jira issue for you. And if you ask it to validate existing code against a Jira ticket, it'll tell you if that code meets the requirements that were outlined in the Jira issue. So this is a really great integration into a non-code source of information. And finally, the third agent that you're going to be really excited about is our code review agent. So pretty much every AI code system on the market today can help you generate new code. And even an LLM can help you do that, right? But at Tabnine, we're focused on doing a lot more than just generating new code. And one of the ways we do that is through ensuring that the AI generated code we create is validated against your company's unique coding standards, guidelines, and policies. So with the Tabnine code review agent, you get both faster code and higher quality, more secure code. And this is really important because if you've read the studies, I think there was one out from 2023 that looked at GitHub Copilot, ChatGPT, and I believe Amazon Q Developer, although they were calling themselves Code Whisperer at that time. And the study found that on the 25 most common vulnerabilities, those 3 code assistants generated code with security issues anywhere from 30 to 60% of the time. And that's what happens when you have out-the-box LLMs with very little context and no knowledge of your organization's unique security, architecture, and performance requirements for your code, is that LLMs will generate code that is correct in terms of syntax, but is likely full of security, performance, and architecture issues, or doesn't fit the design patterns, or really more importantly, doesn't fit your organization's definition of what good code is. So those are the 3 agents that you're probably going to be most excited about in the demo. But important to note that Tabnine helps you accelerate and simplify the entire software development process. And we have AI agents for planning, creation, documenting, testing, review, and maintenance. And you can use Tabnine Chat like an AI pair programmer. It's right in your IDE, and it's going to assist you with your SDLC at every single step of the way. And you can autonomously complete pretty complex tasks here, and you're going to dramatically improve your team's productivity as well as have timely delivery of quality software through using our AI agents.
Hey,
so,
I'll say we have one quick question that came in. Yeah, which LLM model, AI model, is Tabnine using?
Yeah, thanks, Akshay, for that question. So Tabnine is fully model agnostic, and the reason we have taken that stance is that the large language model space and the small language model space continues to evolve and move very rapidly. And we want our customers to have model flexibility. So our customers should be able to use any LLM they want from any provider deployed in any fashion that they like, as well as if our customers were to go and create their own LLM or SLM, they should be able to plug that into Tabnine, and you can do all those things today. Now, in terms of proprietary LLMs, we've developed our own Tabnine Protected, and the use case for that is if your organization has strict legal requirements that have blocked the use of all AI at your org. Well, Tabnine Protected gives you a path to start using AI for software development that is completely free from any legal liability because it's only been trained on open source code from permissive libraries, and your legal team can review all of the libraries we trained it on, which is a level of transparency you won't get from any other provider. But again, if you already have an LLM or set of LLMs that are approved by legal, we really recommend leveraging those because the trade-off you'll make with Protected is that you'll get protection because it's a smaller model, but you won't get as good performance as a large language model. And on that front, we support all the popular LLMs today, and they are included in your Tabnine subscription on our enterprise tier, and you are not rate limited on your usage of any of them. So next question from Kevin. How are those security standards defined? Kevin, those security standards are defined however you and your team would like to define them. There's 2 ways of training the code review agent. One is you give us a natural language document in plain language, just explaining your rules. We go enhance that and build them out in the code review and rule set UI, which Chris will show you what that looks like. The other way we could do it is you point us at your repository, point us at some place that you think has your best examples of code in your organization, and we'll extract the rule set from that for you. And then, of course, these security standards are just one category of rules that you can define in Tabnine. You can define rules for performance, architecture, design patterns, several other categories that Chris will show you later on. And the important thing to note here is the code review agent is fully human in the loop, just like all of our AI agents. So anything that it's suggesting, it has to be reviewed by your code reviewer or a actual experienced developer prior to it being implemented. So it's not just going to go off on its own and do a bunch of code review without a human being there. And really the reason you want it is that the expectations for code performance, quality, and security, you know this, Chris knows this, everyone knows this, they are only continually increasing. And as more and more orgs are rolling out AI coding assistants, the speed and volume of code they're generating is continuing to increase as well. And that puts a lot of pressure on your code reviewer. So what the code review agent, the customizable rules is really going to let you do is it's going to take some of that lifting off the back of your code reviewer, because you can then just codify the rules that you know you want to check for. And you can keep the code reviewer focused on more meaningful aspects of code review that actually help the developer that they're reviewing. So it almost frees you to do code review the way that code review was really meant to be. Kalyan, we are using Tabnine Enterprise and it is awesome so far. Thank you, Kalyan. I am so glad to hear that, and your experience is not uncommon. Does Tabnine support CMMI practices? Chris, do you know what that is? If you don't, I will Google it quickly.
Yeah, I believe it's configuration. I always struggle with acronyms. Configuration management for integrated something, but I feel like I always forget the second I. So if, geez, Manish, if you want to chime in with that, what that second I is, that would be helpful. I'm not exactly sure based on understanding what it is, if we do specifically support that, because it would be communication, standardization, sort of protocols. There's specific quality and compliance, guidelines, traceability, and I think a few more. So things that I'm sure we could probably tweak. Capability maturity model integration. Okay, that was completely different from what I was riffing on.
Yeah, so it looks like originally it was a model that was prepared for software, but it is also now applied to hardware and service development. And it really looks like a process and program management workflow. So, Manish, Tabnine's really focused on the software development process and helping developers. So process workflows aren't really something that are built into the AI, but thanks for that question. Any timeline on availability of code review feature? Yeah, the feature is currently in private preview, but it will be coming soon to GA for all of our Tabnine Enterprise customers. And you'll hear an announcement from us when we have a date for you there, but it's coming soon. So I know you're itching to get it, but just bear with us there. Alrighty, love the engagement, by the way. Looks like that is all of our questions for now. So let's hop into why Tabnine. So you know what Tabnine does now. So here's 3 reasons really why you would choose Tabnine over other tools in the market, right? So the first thing to note is we actually invented this entire category. We launched our first model in 2018, and we now support millions of developers across thousands of teams at highly regulated and privacy-conscious industries. So we're talking aerospace defense, hardware and semiconductor manufacturing, banking, healthcare, pharmaceuticals, as well as government as well. And we're one of the most widely used AI applications in the world. And unlike generic coding assistants, Tabnine is the AI software development platform that's tailored to you and your team. And we have 3 pillars here. We like to call them our 3 Ps. We're personalized, private, and protected. So on the personalization front, what we really focus on is delivering an optimized experience for every single development team. So our AI is highly context aware. We integrate with the widest variety of IT systems to gain understanding and to take action. and we learn and apply your unique approach and policies to both code generation and software validation. And there isn't any other coding assistant on the market today that can do that. Second, Tabnine is private. So you have complete control of where and how you deploy Tabnine. We have an enterprise SaaS offering. You can deploy as VPC, and you can deploy as on-premise as well. And that lets you maximize control of your IP. And you also get to choose both the underlying LLM or set of LLMs and how you apply them. So you can connect your LLMs through private endpoints, and you can have a fully private deployment of your LLM as well and connect Tabnine into that. So however you want to protect your IP when you're using AI will help you achieve that. Finally, Tabnine's protected. So we have the most comprehensive approach in the industry to assuring license and copyright compliance. I already told you about the Tabnine protected model, but what we also have is code provenance and attribution. So if you're using a third-party LLM and you'd like to know if it's generating code that might match any publicly visible code, the provenance and attribution feature will tell you that. So it'll flag any matches against publicly available code and tell you the license on the code that's matching. Oh, looks like we got another question here. Just about the previous topic from Dunsu. My company is considering acquiring Tabnine Enterprise, specifically for the code review agent. Am I understanding correctly that even if we buy it, we will not be able to use the code review agent yet? Thank you. So you will be able to use the code review agent if you purchase Tabnine Enterprise. What we say when a feature is in private preview is that it is not broadly generally available to everyone. But for our enterprise customers, we do give them access to our private preview features on request. So we will absolutely give you the code review agent. And thank you for your question. From Rohit. Oh, sorry, misclicked there. From where Tabnine arranges/feeds data for trading? That's a good question. So actually, I think that'll get answered in my personalization slide. So just hold on there for a moment. So in regards to Rohit's great question, how does Tabnine personalize and get data to get these personalized results? Well, the reason we even started doing this is that personalization is really important to AI, and generalized tools aren't enough. And using an AI code assistant that isn't sufficiently aware of your code base and your coding standards, we like to say it's like hiring a well-trained software engineer off the street. Helpful and well-intentioned, but likely to create code that needs to be modified to fit your application. And the reason that this happens is because the LLMs that underpin every generative AI tool lack context and they lack understanding. And in software development, if you don't understand the distinctive patterns and specific approaches that your company is taking, the recommendations the LLM generates are going to be accurate but generic. And that means that the code that it generates will probably meet your requirements, but it'll need to be modified and sometimes significantly in order to be accepted into the code base. But context is the key that changes everything. And that's what we're really focused on here at Tabnine is context through retrieval augmented generation and other training modalities. And that context engine that we've built is what enables Tabnine to deliver more relevant and higher quality recommendations. And when you layer in the right level of context for the task at hand, that includes sources like local files, your code bases, non-code sources of information, your AI code assistant goes from an engineer off the street to performing like a senior engineer with years of experience in your company that's sitting alongside each and every one of your developers. And here's really the value of personalization, right? So there have been multiple analyses by independent researchers, and it's been observed in some teams that as the adoption of AI-generated code rose, so did the number of rejected pull requests. And in some cases, that meant that there was a massive amount of rejection at the code review stage. And why would that be the case? You know, AI knows how to code. You've seen tools like Cursor generate software. You've seen many other tools out there in the market. LLMs know all the programming languages, and the answer to that question is really in your organization. So if you ask 10 different engineering managers the right answer to a specific engineering assignment, you'll get at least 10 different answers. And the real problem is that all their answers are probably correct, but really only the answer that manages each manager's expectations will make it past the pull request. And when you combine the inherent knowledge and capabilities in an LLM with the right understanding of your team, it fixes that issue in the code review. And when you layer in the right level of context, you now have high quality and secure code that passes code review being generated by AI. So that's how Tabnine really operates, like the AI that's as reliable as your employee of the month. Now, there's 4 ways that we do personalization. So this is answering Rohit's question here. So what we do is progressive personalization. And this makes sure that Tabnine generates recommendations that are relevant to your apps, your approach, and that fit your existing patterns and standards. And that all starts with context awareness in the IDE. And that means Tabnine's aware of any code that's open in the IDE around a given project, and it uses that insight to guide how it responds. And there's about 15 different data points that we look at there. That includes imported packages, libraries, your chat history, your cursor, open files. You can guide it further by using app mentions to focus on specific files as well. The next level is connection to your code and knowledge bases. So you can connect Tabnine to other software development tools. That includes code repositories and systems like Jira. And that lets AI leverage your existing work to deliver better recommendations. The third level is coaching, and that's coaching based on your standards. So the more mature and disciplined your engineering team is, then you can take this personalization even further. So you provide Tabnine with that expert guidance, and that's applied both in coding recommendations and code review. So right now, the code review agent only works in the pull request, but we're working on shifting it left into the IDE. So the rule set that you train it on will actually be applied directly as you're generating code. So just another way to have better control over the code quality and the slash time needed to spend in code review. And finally, the 4th level we offer is customization of underlying models. So if you work in languages that LLMs typically struggle with, which is a common problem if the language you're using doesn't have a lot of public training data, what we can do for you at Tabnine is build on our existing models by incorporating your code as additional training data, and that maximizes the personalization of your AI assistant. Now, Rohit, that's really how we train Tabnine. And what's important to note about all of this is it's completely private. So however you choose to deploy, all of the personalization enhancements that we do for you on Tabnine remain completely unique to your instance of Tabnine. And it's never exposed. It's never used to train our general models. And that data is never shared with the third-party LLM providers as well. So the other thing you should know about Tabnine is that we are fully agnostic. So we don't lock you in to any tool. And that means that you can run Tabnine in all of the major IDEs. We can connect with all of the major code repositories, GitHub, GitLab, and Atlassian Bitbucket. And we have some more stuff coming too, where you'll see Tabnine will eventually integrate with your CI/CD pipelines, as well as additional non-code sources of information.
There's a few questions in chat here.
Yeah.
I feel like
so, nope, here, I got it. Alex, does Tabnine support integrating UX and UI design into the development workflow? Yes, we do. We actually just launched our image guidance yesterday. So Chris and I are still playing with it, so we won't have a demo quite ready for it yet today, unless Chris has got a trick up his sleeve. But
maybe a small one.
Yeah. I played with it a little yesterday and built the Netflix homepage using the image prompting. So next week you'll see us do a live demo of image prompts, and UX and UI designs are absolutely something we support there.
Yeah.
Couple of questions from Daniel. Thank you. When can we expect to see new models being added? R1 looks very promising at a fraction of the cost of Sonnet 3.5. And 2, any plans for agentic flows? So the first question, when can we expect to see new models being added? let me just switch over to our models that are available today. So we offer Anthropic, Cohere, Mistral, and OpenAI models. We have private, if you have private open source models, you can run those as well. And then we have Tabnine protected too. So your question there, Daniel, on R2 or R1, excuse me, we already offer Command R, if that's the one you're asking about. However, if you were to deploy any other LLM in your architecture, you can just connect that into Tabnine. So whatever model you're using, we're completely flexible, and we support Llama as well. Today we have customers using Llama. I noticed that is not on the slide, so apologies for that. But yeah, any model you want. So that answers your question there. And any plans for agentic flows? Yes, we do have plans for agentic flows, and stay tuned for that. It's coming pretty soon. Alrighty. Is the analysis done locally or is code sent to the cloud? How does it handle large code bases and incremental changes? Yeah, great question. So the analysis is done in your environment. So if you are deploying on-premise or air-gapped or virtual private cloud, that all lives in your architecture. If you're deploying using our enterprise SaaS offering, we do send requests over to the Tabnine server. However, what we do is use ephemeral processing. So we only store data for the minutes or small period of time that we need to process your request and send that response back. The limitation with our SaaS deployment is that we can't do customized models trained on your code. So the fourth level of personalization isn't available on SaaS, but all three other levels of personalization are available, and they're completely private and segregated to your usage and instance. Will this presentation have some demo? Yes, it will. And I think we are just about to hop right into that, actually. Any plan to integrate with the Apple Xcode? Let me take a look at what that is. Apple Xcode. Okay, looks like this is an IDE. We haven't gotten a request for it yet, but if you are working at Apple and you want us to deploy an Xcode and you want to sign up with enough developers, we can certainly do that for you. But right now, we do not have plans to integrate with Apple Xcode. But for the right customer and use case, we will certainly put that on the roadmap. Thanks for that, image props are game changer. Okay, fantastic. So I think let's go ahead and cover this one last thing, IP protection. That's provenance and attribution, which you'll see later. But really, this is what I was talking about earlier, where any model that you're using, you'll see Tabnine check that AI-generated code against publicly visible code, flag matches and references, and tell you the license for the code to decide if the code the model generated meets your organization's specific policies. And without further ado, let's pass it off to Chris to take you guys through the demo.
Awesome. Okay, so let me pull up this here. Sorry, just getting a little situated. All right. Entire screen. Perfect. Sorry, there is one question here. Let's just talk about this really quickly.
How does Tabnine ensure balance in terms of not suggesting too radical solutions, completely unaware of context of existing code base, and at the same time not suggesting solutions only confined based off existing code based, thereby obsolete suggestion? Yeah, okay, good question. So our approach to retrieval augmented generation personalization is pretty sophisticated. And the way it works is you can first turn on or off local context awareness by toggling the workspace indexing button on or off. With repository and code base connection, there is no limit on the number of repos you can connect it to Tabnine, so it's unlimited. And the way you really want to use it is you want to combine local context and global context in a precise and intelligent manner based on your knowledge of what you're trying to achieve and your knowledge and exploration of your organization's code base, as well as your local files in your project that you've deployed. And as you're using our various AI agents and layering that context and prompting on into it, what our RAG model does is it's really focused on giving the right amount of context from the right source at the right time for the task at hand. So as you're typing in a prompt into Tabnine chat, the prompt that you type in and click enter to send in is actually not what's sent over to the LLM. So we process that prompt, modify it completely, and then add on local context and global context as you've selected it into the prompt to guide the suggestion. And the metric I can tell you that you'll see is if you turn on local context awareness, which is the first of our 4 levels, you'll see a 40% lift on average in code acceptance rates. What code acceptance tells you is a developer queried Tabnine. Tabnine generated a result. Did the developer then apply or insert that result into their file? And it's a measure of code quality or the quality of the AI generated responses. So because our context engine is so sophisticated, we offer better code acceptance rate than any other provider on the market. And in multiple POVs where we've gone head to head against GitHub Copilot and other providers, our code acceptance rate and automation factor has been significantly higher as a result of that. So the short answer to your question, Rohit, is that I can't tell you exactly how we ensure balance because that's our secret sauce. But the way we do it is better than anyone else on the market, which is also why Gartner top ranked us in the critical capabilities for AI code assistance report in 2024 when compared against all 12 leading providers in the space. Alrighty, Chris, let's
take it away here. So let's start by going over the Tabnine UI. We'll talk about interacting with Tabnine and sort of each of the AI agents or form factors you'll find along the way. So starting here on the left, when you do open up Tabnine, you will see the Tabnine AI chat. This is where you can use everyday conversational natural language to type in prompts and queries, right? You can also invoke different agents from here. And these agents we built to do more of the heavy lifting for end users to reduce prompt engineering, right? So explaining code, generating tests for code, document, fix code, code explore. These are all ones that are to come pre-standard. These other ones are some fun ones that I'll maybe showcase later on here in the demo that I've created. Additionally, though, this is where you're able to upload images, reference Jira, and even reference specific functions, variables, pages, so on and so forth. Next up, this is within the chat. You'll see not next to the chat icon is the switchable models modal. So right now, these are the ones that I've set available to me, and this is done via your administrator. They're able to control which ones are available to their end users, and this is where you have the freedom to select and choose the one that best fits for the task at your hand. My case, I am a huge fan of Claude, so we're going to be sticking there for today. But next to this chat icon, you'll see a test agent. And this is where you're able to generate comprehensive test plans for your code, which we'll get into later this demo. Next to that, you'll see a settings gear icon. This is where you can integrate into Jira. It's about 2 clicks and sort of an approval of the integration, and 30 seconds later, you're connected and we're able to start implementing and validating tickets. Below that, you'll see response length. Now, this is relatively newer for us. It will allow users to determine the type of responses they're getting back from Tabnine AI chat. So if you want something more comprehensive, that's going to give you a little more detail and explain maybe the why and the what of the answers, that's the better selection. Concise is just the nuts and bolts of what you need. You can also define custom behaviors here, another new feature for us. So you can instruct Tabnine, for example, to respond like a coding mentor or respond like an architect, emphasizing design patterns and scalability. You can say, answer in German or Spanish, right? Really giving that extra level of personalization to make sure that every interaction is exactly how you expect it to be or would hope it to be. Defining custom commands is below that. And that's, again, where you'll find these are the ones that populate in that list that I showed you within chat, right? So these are separate from the ones that come preloaded. You can't edit those, but you can create your new additional ones if you find yourself continuously using the same prompt over and over again. And then think that is, and this is where you can toggle inline chat completions, right? So as you're typing within Tabnine AI chat, it'll automatically recognize your intent and offer suggestions. The next piece we'll go over here is the code completions. So let's go up here. So as you're typing, Tabnine in gray here will recognize your intent and generate contextually relevant code recommendations. So if you're writing a test, it'll autocomplete tests, so on and so forth, documentation, comments, code, the whole kit and caboodle. Now, separate from that, you'll see these blocks at the top of, or these buttons at the top of different code blocks here, or all of your code blocks. And this is the Tabnine code lens, right? So you have the ability, we'll try and find a better example here. Okay. You have the ability to edit, test, explain, document, as well as fix code via this code lens. So it's staying more within that flow, or within your developer flow, not having you to go over to the AI chat or really have your hands leave the keyboard. And then the next sort of the most in the flow or in the process of using Tabnine would be our quick commands, right? So as you're typing on a Mac, you can say Command I, and that'll populate this drop down. Here you have the ability to switch your models, determine which lines you want to edit, as well as use natural language here to edit the text, as well as use some of these quick commands that we saw earlier. These are the ones that are preloaded within Tabnine. So you can fix, document, explain, or explore code. So, and I apologize if there are questions. I do not have my StreamYard up, so Amaya, feel free to stop me at any point. That said, let's go through a usual flow or cycle for a software developer going through each phase of the SDLC, starting with plan. So for this first stage, as a developer, it's incredibly important to gain an understanding of the project, what the application does, etc. Let's say you're new on a team and you have to start working on a new application. This would be a great use for you. So what we'll do is we'll go into the backslash and we'll do code explore, right? So what the code explore agent is a built-in quick action that Tabnine chat, within Tabnine chat, that users can invoke when starting. Well, I guess at this point, you don't have to start a new conversation anymore. You can just invoke this through the backslash by using /code explore. And Tabnine returns a high-level summary of the project's key elements, including runnable scripts, key dependencies, and overall structure. And then in addition to the summary, there will be a set of follow-up questions, right? about the summary, allowing developers to dive further into relevant information for their current task, or just have a better understanding of what's going on here within this application or project. And using this, users can onboard to a new project exponentially faster while reducing, their load on experienced colleagues who, will spend less time helping out the new teammates on board, or the teammates will ultimately spend less time spinning wheels trying to read the project and understand what's going on here. So we'll dive in here really quickly. We can see that, okay, I'm acting like I don't know, but this is a Next.js project. Specifically, this is one that is a fraud detection dashboard that we have Prisma here in the back end as our database. So we know what it is. We know what's relatively in each file and how it works. Let's continue on to this next phase, which is create. Right. So earlier in this demo, or not demo, in this office hours session, we talked about our Jira agents, right? And there's two. There's our implementation and our validation agents. So we've already connected Tabnine to Jira, but here we'll go over to my board. And again, it only takes about 30 seconds, if that. As fast as your internet will work. And we'll see here, this is my board of current tickets, right? These are all the tickets that are in my queue. And what we'll do is we'll go back into our application. And let's click this Jira button here. And what you'll see is it'll populate a list of my assigned issues. Now, all of these issues are going to populate based on if they've been added or updated within the last 30 days, and specifically only assigned to me. You will not see all of your other team members' tickets or everything that's on that board. It is exclusive to the account that it was integrated with, right? In my case, Christopher at tabnine.com. That's the Jira account, and then my Tabnine account, which shows this here. So let's pick brand redesign, and we'll say implement this ticket. Whoops. Awesome. Okay. So what we will do here, it's a nice redesign. Now, don't harp on the colors here. Mint green and coral was not my choice. That's the imaginary bosses, but we'll click this here. This is our apply button. It'll go immediately to where that change is, and it will insert it without having your cursor or without having your cursor on the specific block or needing to be on that specific page. Change criteria, fully complete. So now we can say Jira validate this ticket. This is new for me. I usually always include pleases and thank yous, just in case there's an uprising. Want Claude to think of me as a nice guy. Okay, so not implemented, but partially. Okay, so we can see through validating there are a few more things that I need to do. Want to change it to Coral, and then I need to do some actual testing, some of which users, some of which testing in Chrome, right? So we have to gain some opinions and also validate that it does work in each browser, which is unfortunately Tabnine can't tell you if if other users will like the colors here, nor can it test in the actual browsers, but that's something I can do on my own time. And I know that at least the important pieces of this have been validated, or that I need to go back inversely, and then I haven't, and there's still pieces left out from the ticket that I still need to go do, and I can confirm that and come back and further validate this ticket. So let's move on to the next stage, which is fix. I see there's some errors here in my layout, and I assume there's probably pretty silly, but let's say we don't know exactly where there are for the sake of this demo. What we can do is ask Tabnine chat. I see there are errors in my let's see, layout dot es x tab. What are they and how can I fix them? Perfect. Let's head over to the layout TSX. There's the error in question. Perfect. Hit apply, change, good to go. All right. No errors there anymore. That's what we like to see. So you can also use, if there was an error there, you could also use the fix button here within the code lens. Just another easy way to go through and find that and to fix errors. Additionally, you could go through here and also fix using the quick commands. So then the next piece, we fix code. We've added some new changes into this application. Let's move on to testing. So here within the Tabnine AI chat, next to the chat icon, or in between settings and chat, you'll see this test agent beaker. So what we can do is click generate test plan for code. So let's say the dashboard. We'll copy this or highlight this code here. I do not have a test file. Let's see where it is. Putting this fraud detection dashboard, source components, dashboard. All right, let's change this to test because I did make a test folder. Continue. Oh, perfect. So what Tabnine is doing right now is generating a comprehensive test plan with detailed test cases for functions and methods and so on and so forth. It automatically generates test cases covering a wide variety of testing scenarios, as we can see from this, these short descriptions here. You'll see in plain English. What we can do is go through, select ones that we would like based on what we see here. We can apply, add that in. Perfect. Let me see here. We can add, pick and choose, right? We'll add a couple in here and then let's perfect. Now there's obviously going to be some issues with what we have importing at the top, but let's say you don't love the suggested test, right? Realistically, not everything is going to be perfect 100% of the time. And that's why it's important to have extra layers of personalization. In this case, being able to modify this test. So we can say that, we don't want the 10 most recent transactions. That feels too small. Say change to include the 20 most recent transactions. It will refactor, regenerate that test. and then we can add it here within our test file. Perfect. Length of 20. Awesome. Awesome. Great. Okay. So we've added in a bunch of new tests here, but for someone who might not, let's say a coworker who might pop in here, I want them to know exactly what we did, right? So I'm going to highlight this, go to my quick commands, and I'm going to document this code. And what Tabnine is going to do here is it'll generate documentation for this specific code block. But let's say this isn't exactly how you want it, right? We can refine that. So let's change it to do not generate a block of docs on top, but rather generate docs to the right of each line. Don't ask me why I want it. It's just the way I am. I like to look at it line by line sometimes. So boom, there we go. Accept that change. Documentation is now here on the right side as opposed to being above. And refining doesn't have to be limited to documentation. It can be explaining code. It can be fixing code, testing code, editing code. You can continue to refine your request to ultimately get you to that response or result that you were hoping for or looking for. So this next phase, after we've created, we've fixed, we've documented, we've explored, right? We've created testing. The next phase here will be to maintain, right? You'll want to continuously improve your applications, and outside of your product teams, Tabnine can be a great source of ideas for you to do that. So I'm again not saying to ditch the roadmap and go with Tabnine, but it can be a good source of awesome ideas. So what we'll do here is say, can you suggest, let's say 10 ways to improve the UI of my fraud detection dashboard. You know what? Let's plug this one. We'll just make it a little bit better. We'll add a picture here, so it has better context of what my dashboard looks like, right? And for the record, this is her in all of her glory. So let's go over here and say, analyze and review the picture. Suggest 10 modifications to improve the UI UX of the dashboard. We'll do the whole thing of the fraud detection dashboard. Well, hasn't seen. Yeah, okay, let's do that. We haven't saved and pushed these changes, so it wouldn't be showing up yet on there, so that's understandable. Older screenshot as well. Dashboard metrics. It knows that my recent transaction table could do some work. Yeah, recent transactions to prove perceived performance and user experience, because we know right now there's nothing in here. So it was able to recognize that, understand that it's bare, and suggest that I I do provide some more data there to make that a better user experience, because it's not great when you come here and you realize that it's blank. That is pretty slick. Okay. So these are 10 updates, but let's take it a step further, right? Sometimes, as we know in most organizations, or what we've heard is that Jira tickets vary, right? Descriptions, acceptance criteria, all depends on the creator of the ticket, right? Some of them are great. Some of them are not so great, right? Something like let's see here, enhanced password security. Great idea of this is what, awesome description, technical details, steps to implement. Last resort button for my fraud app in case things are on fire. That's relatively nothing, right? So a lot of variation in ticket description. How can we standardize that? What we can do is say, great, I love these. Create Jira ticket descriptions and acceptance criteria for each improvement listed above. Now, it won't actually go into my Jira instance and create those tickets for me, but it does something equally as awesome, in my opinion. Is it will give me a description, it'll give me acceptance criteria. I can ask Tabnine to elaborate on this, giving me more information if I want to, if I don't think this is enough, or I can just copy and paste this, and now I have the ability to come back and continue this flow again, right? It's as simple and as fast as, let's say we take this, implement cohesive. We'll pick one that we haven't done. This is fine just for the sake of this demo. We will create a new one. Say implement, what was that? Cohesive color scheme. And create, view issue, assign to me. And let's add that description here. Whoops. There we go. Saved. It was just saved, right? Go back over to tab 9. You can see it appears here. So it's instant, right? And then it's a rinse and repeat. We've generated these news ideas. We have ways to maintain and improve our application. We'll funnel them back into Jira, and we'll continue on with that flow again. Assuming that's the process you take, we like to try and follow some best practices here. So the last phase we'll cover right now or today is the code review agent. And we'll start here on the rules backend, or the rules interface. Now, it's worth mentioning in upcoming months, the UI will slightly change, but the core concept of what we're doing and how we're doing it is going to stay relatively the same, right? So we'll go over this interface here today. So this is where users are able to see predefined rules by tab 9, as well as all of the rules that are aligned with their unique standards. This is where everything will be stored. So tab 9 Enterprise currently comes standard with a set of rules that we've gathered, evaluated, and implemented based on software development best practices from leading voices across the software space. And then within this rules interface, you can visualize and fine tune the rule set, right? So as you add in new rules, and as Amaya said earlier, it can be sending us a plain description, very simple, not detailed, something as simple as this. Don't comment out code, remove it. Tabnine will ingest and create the rest, right? Assigning category, good and bad examples. You can determine the severity if it's public, on by default, if it applies to a user or an entire organization. And all of this isn't the end all be all, right? You can always come back and fine tune and tweak and polish this. We understand that, you know, as fast as this space is moving, so do rules. And there's, you know, different areas of compliance and governance that gain importance, right? Things that, you know, we see arise that this is going to be an evergreen or ever living document, right? It's living, breathing document or area of your application that's always always available to fine tune and tweak, right? So you can also go through and filter by language. These are the current ones that we do support. You can also filter by severity as well as user email. Now, as far as categories go, I know we talked a little bit. There's a question about this earlier, but the ones you'll see here in Tabnine currently, or that come preloaded: security, correctness, performance, architecture is another one, readability. Let's see if I'm forgetting any here. I believe that's correct. Okay. So rules interface, this is where you would visualize, manage all of the rules that are being applied to your organization or the users within your organization. Now, what does that look like on the PR or MR side when a developer is making these pull requests or merge requests? So we'll go over here to GitHub and we'll just look at a previous PR and what the code review agent looks like on the reviewer's side, right? So you can see that within this PR here, Tabnine reviews the code against the code in the PR MR against your rules and flags any deviations, offers suggestions to fix the code. So going sort of, I want to say line by line here, or issue by issue or flag by flag, it'll highlight the selected code or the code in question. It'll acknowledge what rule is being broken and why, and then provide a suggested revised version, right? So it's, in my opinion, incredibly helpful as sort of that extra layer of protection or coverage, right? Doing a lot of the things that might feel similar to a linter, but it is a much more advanced. It's like the next, the evolution of linting, in my opinion. So even things like, oh gosh, yeah, don't hard code sensitive information. We all know this is a no-no, but maybe a junior dev, it slipped their mind or forgot. This is something that's, a great example of something you want to catch in a PR before it actually goes into production, because that wouldn't be good. We don't want that. No bad actors. So at the end of this PR, you'll see a summary, and this is going to be where Tabnine will showcase or show any, summary of critical issues, errors, warnings, suggestions, as just a quick high-level overview of what went on in this specific PR. And again, same flow for all of these, right? It'll shows what it is, gives a warning, tells you what to do. Yeah, it's been really effective. And it'll say, okay, no possible suggestions if there isn't anything here, and it'll give a green light, but obviously show red stops for anything that could be a stopgap stopgap, excuse me, with this PR. So I believe that is it. I am happy to go through any specific questions or if there's functionality that we want to highlight here. I know I've been talking for a hot minute, and May, you haven't stopped me, so ready to start answering these. We can also showcase as well if there's certain custom commands or things that we've talked about that you want to see, or if there's anything you want to see if possible with Tabnine. Happy to answer those now too as well.
Yeah, and I was getting a ton of questions in the chat, but I've just been, answering them with text responses. Didn't want to interrupt your demo flow here. Let's see if there are some that I haven't gotten to yet. All right, that's you. We're a very large org with over 2,000 developers and will most likely prefer an on-premise deployment rather than the SaaS option. Though the trial period is done with a much smaller subset at the moment, do you offer a demo option for Tabnine Enterprise so we can see the full capabilities while making our decision? Absolutely, Tatsu. The way that works is we offer a POC or POV, and the process for that is 3 steps. So the first one, you book a meeting with our team. We define your use cases and your evaluation criteria, and then we help you create a plan to roll out and use Tabnine as we identify those use cases that you're trying to achieve increased efficiency in. We help you measure the efficiency gains you've generated through using Tabnine. And through the creation of that plan, we structure a onboarding and training process for you where our customer success managers and solutions engineers will run multiple sessions with your development team that is using Tabnine Enterprise to help them use the tool effectively to achieve your outcomes. So once we've built that whole plan together for your evaluation, the next step is evaluating Tabnine, and you can do that with as many developers as you want. Yeah, so it's pretty straightforward. You just have to come and talk to us and work with us to build your evaluation plan, and then we're happy to help you run that POV. So we will reach out shortly to you and get you rolling there. How do you switch what model you're using? Really easy. Go ahead, Chris.
So there's a couple ways here. You can use this modal right here, this drop down. That will allow you to switch. Now you cannot switch if you are in the middle of a conversation. You'll have to start a new conversation, be at a blank slate, to be able to switch models. Additionally, though, you can switch models from this drop down here based on what's available. And one thing that we didn't cover, and I'll switch over there really quickly, excuse me, is our admin portal. So let me pull up this guy here. So this is for, we'll show the dev one, the self-hosted. So self-hosted admin panel here. You'll see, starting with analytics, you'll see, usage per user. It gets more and more granular as you go down. Team management, user management, settings, and sort of functionality. But specifically here, within the settings, as an administrator, this is where you can determine which models are available to your organization, right? So Claude V2, you can do Llama, Mistral, Coastral, GPT-4 Turbo. Command is also available, just not for some reason showing in this list here. There we go. It's over on this list. As Mistral and so on and so forth. So this is where you determine it from the admin level. But then being within the product, it is done here within the modal up top.
Can the model be configured to only personalize responses to the current repo it's working on, or is it only scoped to look through all repos? Yeah, so that's guidance of your context, right? So you can select the repository that you want it to look at to consider for context. And again, unlimited number of repositories you can connect on our enterprise offering. So it is totally up to you which repo you wanted to personalize based off of, Kevin. Great question.
And just to connect to repositories, very simple. Going into here, entering in your URL, SSH key, or new, at least to self-hosted, we have the ability now to do SSH or HTTPS credentials. So pick your poison, whichever you prefer.
When will it be possible to zoom in or out font size in Tabnine chat? That's hilarious. So whoever asked that, the reason this looks so tiny is because of the streaming platform we're using, and I guess Chris and I are conceited and want you to see our faces more than you want you to see the code. So it's just looking a little small. On personalized repos, is that on a per user per session basis? So the way the repo connection works is your admin will enable a repository connection, and you can do that on a team level, or you could do it. You can configure access to repositories for your teams however you would like to, right? So it's permissioning essentially on what repos are going to be permissible to be accessed by various team members. Can Tabnine support local models through OLLAMA? Let me just Google that so I understand what you're asking. Local models. Run language models locally. That's interesting. So I think if you are deploying Tabnine Enterprise, you're on-prem or self-hosted, and you're running any models in your architecture there, you can connect those into Tabnine, and we support running those models. So that's the one of the private deployment configurations you can do. So I think the answer to that question is yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Next one from Kevin. Does the free account allow us to test the full repository awareness? It does not. The free account is super limited in terms of features and functionality. If you want to try out and test the full set of Tabnine Enterprise capabilities, the best way to do that is, as I told Tansu, you want to reach out to us. We'll set up a POV for you. We'll create your evaluation criteria, your plan, your use cases, the teams you want to roll it out to, set up trainings, and then we will give you guys access for that POV period as you determine how long your POV is going to be with us as well. And that is where you'll be able to test repository awareness. React frontend with Python fast API. In what manner does Tabnine suggest the code for Jira story? So the Jira agent, right? So again, our context engine is sophisticated and it layers in multiple and progressive levels of personalization. So when it's using the Jira integration, it's reading through the Jira ticket description, requirements, criteria, the title. Pretty soon it's going to look at additional things in Jira as well. We're constantly updating and building better and better versions of our Jira agents and all of our agents. So it's going to read through those things. And then, as you saw with Chris's demo, he had local workspace context on, and it read through the file there, and it suggested code that fit that file. And you also saw that it didn't pass validation for one of the requirements, which was changing the nav bar to light green. And it said that it didn't do that because we hadn't built a nav bar yet. So the next step there, if you were actually developing, would have been to, okay, let's build the nav bar first. And then we would have done that. And then we ran the Jira ticket, and then it would have been able to execute that accordingly. And specifically with React and Python, look, in your project, you're going to use multiple languages. You're going to have front end, you're going to have back end, you're going to have different libraries and components. So Tabnine is going to consider all of those in its implementation. So whatever the Jira issue is telling it to build, it's going to go look for that and build that. And if the Jira issue requires changes to be made to multiple files, like a front end file and then a different file for Python, it's going to know to go and look for those, and it'll suggest the code generation in the chat, and you'll see two different modals pop out in the chat for each file or several files, and then you can click apply on each one and make those changes to your React stuff and your Python as well.
See here if there's another example I can show. Any plans to support linear in addition to Jira?
Linear. Okay. Linear from Monday. Yep. We do have plans to support that. So as you saw that slide I quickly glossed over, Tabnine's completely tool agnostic and language model agnostic as well. So our long-term vision and roadmap for the product is that we are going to connect into all of the tools that are important to mature enterprise engineering teams that they're using to help their software development process. So absolutely, you'll see that come out from us over time. Just give us some time to crank and continue to build these features out for you. I am loving the questions today, by the way, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, keep them coming.
Alessandro, thank you so much for joining us. Glad you enjoyed the presentation and that you think highly of the platform. Pawan Kumar, can we use Tabnine to prepare API documentation? Yeah, you certainly can. It'd be pretty straightforward to do it. Just go ahead and open it up and ask it to generate documentation, and it will help you with that.
And you can generate documentation for code blocks. You can generate it for entire files. I haven't necessarily ran through, okay, I'm going to take my entire project and generate documentation for it yet, but yeah, the limitations of it, it shouldn't be any issue or preparing API documentation using Tabnine. That should be a relatively or quite an easy lift for it.
Yeah, I think there was a question from Manish from earlier that I'm trying to scroll up and find. Give me a second here. Can we integrate Tabnine with our DevOps profile for code quality scoring? So if you're asking about a specific tool, I don't think we don't have an integration with a specific DevOps tool right now, but the way you can use it to assist with code quality scoring would be like first, start off by defining your code quality metrics, right? So maintainability, you might look at cyclomatic complexity, code duplication, modularization. You might have metrics for security around vulnerabilities, exploits, and secure coding practices. You might have things around readability and efficiency for adherence to coding standards and consistency, as well as performance optimizations and resource utilization. So all of those metrics and rule sets will get built into your code review agent, and Tabnine will then provide intelligent suggestions as that code review shifts left into the IDE to suggest cleaner, optimized, and readable code and ensure that your code is compliant with your standards. So it adheres to your style guides. You can also set rules for your specific languages and best practices. Today, Tabnine doesn't directly integrate yet with CI/CD pipeline tools, but it will. And as you use it in your CI/CD process, once we build those integrations, you can support your analysis, your pre-commit, and your testing as well. So really the way we're helping with that today, Manish, is building automation rules to enforce code quality. And in terms of your score for code quality, the way you see that in the code review agent today is in the pull request, at the bottom of the request, it gives a report. And that report gives you insight into like what issues it found, the frequency of those issues, and the categorization of those issues. So that is really how you would approach it there. Is Tabnine aware of Swagger / Open API? Great question. Yeah, you can use it on Swagger files and Open API files, and it will be contextually aware of those. Another person on my team, Adrian, him and I are actually working on a enterprise application for researching and visualizing stocks. And the way we've approached building it is we first built the backend, and we built the Swagger file. We built the backend off the Swagger file, and then we built the front end off the backend. So we've got a CRUD app together now. So I think end of Feb, we're going to be doing a Tabnine live on that. And you'll see me hop in and add on dashboards and visualizations. You'll see Tabnine pull stuff from a microservice. So it'll be a pretty complicated and enterprise grade demo that we'll be showing you there. And absolutely, it's aware of Swagger and Open API.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be that's gonna be the application that lets us correctly predict all the stock prices so we can make millions, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally understand what's happening with the Dow.
Yeah, I wish the prediction algorithm is going to be pretty basic because I don't have time to go off and go build a machine learning algorithm with Python to support it. But if you were a full-time developer, you certainly could use Tabnine to go and build that and then build it as a microservice. So we're just going to be using a really, really stupid linear regression or a really basic average, simple daily moving average to predict instead, because I am not a software developer. You know what's actually wild about Tabnine is I've been building applications with it for the last couple of weeks, and I haven't written a single line of code. And as I'm using the tool to build these demos out, I'm starting to learn more and more about software development. And I think 2 years from now or a year from now, you'll see me being able to probably write code myself just from using Tabnine. So if a head of marketing that only took one software class in college, which was for C#, all I built was calculators. And then I think my other software dev experience was working at Cisco. I was deploying Bootstrap.js back when that was cool to make their internal IT pages mobile responsive. But 10 years after that, I'm building full-on front-end, back-end applications using Swagger files and APIs without writing a single line of code myself.
It is pretty remarkable, I will say. And just to that note, Tabnine, the ability, and not everyone knows everything. I think that's a safe bet, right? So having something that, again, as May has alluded to, is sort of that pair programmer who's incredibly well-tensioned and knowledgeable of your organization's standards and best practices, having that sit figuratively beside you. You can ask questions on, heck, if you didn't know how to implement Swagger or Open API, Tabnine's aware of it and it understands your project's context so incredibly well that it'll tell you how to implement it, why you would implement it, and the significance of it, which is, again, to me, very, very helpful as well as someone who has a little bit more programming experience, but not a mile more. I've found it incredibly helpful. It's like what we demoed earlier, the Explore agent. Programmer, old or new, senior or junior, everyone loves saving more time and getting back to doing the cool stuff that we all wanted to do, right? Which is build, not document or write tests or things like that, or bug fix.
Yeah. I mean, using AI is completely transformative, right? It's going to help your junior developers code like your senior developers over time. And if you're a senior or well-experienced and tenured developer and you know what you're doing, what this tool can help you do is I probably can't even fathom how many how much more productive it can make you once you learn how to use it effectively. Let's see if there's any other questions here. We'll be able to watch this presentation later. Yep, you will.
Yep.
It's recorded. It'll be published on the LinkedIn event page, as well as soon as we end this stream here, it'll be on our YouTube channel. And then a member of my team will email all of you with a link to the YouTube recording as well, in case you wanted to watch it or share it with any of your team. And we do these every Wednesday, 7 a.m. this time, 10 a.m. next week, and then so on and so forth for the rest of the year. So if your team ever wants to come on and see the tool and learn more about it, you know where to find us.
So while we're waiting for any more questions to come in, just want to talk about this ability now to upload images as context within Tabnine. I think there's 3 areas, right, that I want to talk about. One, you can implement diagrams, right? So you could upload flowcharts to create boilerplate code for service orchestration or communication. You could use database diagrams to generate SQL scripts to set up a database scheme. You can upload a data diagram to generate a REST API for setting up or interacting with databases. Same goes for mocking up, from taking mock-ups to code, right? You can upload a mock-up or a wireframe to generate CSS or JavaScript for a new web page. Heck, we can, let's see here if I can do this. There is a new button on here, and I can say, let's read the image and add the new design elements button on the sidebar. But you can also upload, a sketch to generate a React.js component for a app. Oh, perfect. Yeah, see, based on the image, I'll update the sidebar component to include the last resort. That's perfect. Sweet. It's now changing it back because I did use an old screenshot, but you can apply that, and assuming that my app is not broken, might be a little broken. Okay, but it can confirm that maybe it was just the background colors, but it is able to take that image, recognize there's a button there that says last resort in case anything goes on fire, and we'll make those changes to that specific section. But it doesn't exactly, doesn't have to stop with there, right? You can screenshot. So take, annotated screenshots with highlighted bugs to receive suggestions for fixing an issue, or, upload a product screenshot to locate the code for that product behavior, right? Saying that, I'm trying to, well, it's not going to visualize here anymore, but trying to find the recent transactions. Where can I go to find that, showing that image? It'll push you to that specific section of your project. So again, it's really powerful, really new, and we're excited to toy around with it more. We're also really excited to see what the community of users can do with it. I think that's one of the most exciting pieces, especially being in the seats that Amaya and I are in, where we get a chance to talk to all of you. It's awesome to hear how other folks are utilizing the new features and what they're able to achieve with it.
All right, I actually have to jump, but I think we'll call it there for today. And if you want to come on next week, we'll be showing the image context in action a little bit more. And if you want to get started with Tabnine and do an evaluation of our enterprise solution, just go ahead and visit our website and talk to one of our SDRs in the chat button, and they'll book a meeting with you right there and then. Alternatively, you can also fill out our contact us form, or just respond to our team when they reach out to help you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yep. Thanks for joining in.